Today, we are going to be talking about scanning Latin meter. Meter is the pattern of stressed and unstressed syllables in a line of poetry. Scanning is the process of determining this pattern. The stressed or long syllables are marked with a horizontal line over the syllable. The unstressed or short syllables are marked with an upside down black rainbow, or a right side up smiley face, or a very tired apostrophe lying down, whatever works for you. Consider this line of poetry from one of Shakespeare's sonnets. The pattern of this line of poetry is called iambic pentameter, and it consists of an unstressed and then a stressed syllable 5 times. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day would be how we would read this line in an over-exaggerated meter. Latin meter is going to be slightly different. The first thing we have to do in scanning a line of Latin meter is determine its syllables. A syllable is one vowel sound with any of its connected consonants. For example, all of the syllables in solfege are one syllable long. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, and ti are all examples of one syllable. Note that I said one vowel sound, not one vowel. 2 vowels together in English and in Latin can make one vowel sound, as in the examples here, neat, book, play, and fair. On the other hand, you can have 2 vowels next to each other that each make their own sound, as in the words liar and duel. The consonants can occur in any part of the syllable. They can be in front of the vowel, behind the vowel, both, or neither. For, ba, and e are all perfect examples of syllables. Let's try separating a line of Latin poetry into its syllables. We'll start with this line from Catullus I. A couple of things to keep in mind. First of all, for now, we're going to ignore the spaces in between words and consider them as one long text. Consonants and vowels can travel back and forth between words. We'll see what I mean in a moment. Number 2, a syllable should end in a vowel. That's the ideal scenario, as in ba, lo, or ti. Unless, after that vowel, the next 2 consonants don't go together. You'll see what I mean when we split up the line. Now let's split up this line into its syllables. We'll start at the beginning. As I said, we want a syllable to end in a vowel. That's the preferred situation. So let's stop at the U here and make our first syllable plu. As I also said, we should ignore the spaces between words. So this S can go forward and make the syllable su. Our next syllable is no. And the next is ma. Now let's consider the word manayat. When we pronounce that, it has 3 syllables, ma, ne, at. So clearly the E and the A are not working together to make one sound. So we should split the syllable after the E. Ne. Now, we would like our next syllable to be ah. We don't have to have consonants in a syllable. However, T and P do not go well together. Tp is not a sound we make in English or in Latin. So we're actually going to split between them. So our syllables will be at, and then pe. And then here we have a double consonant, 2 ends. We always want to split between them. So now we have ren, ne, and then unlike manayat, psi is one sound. The A and the E work together to make one sound, so we should keep them together. This is called a diphthong, and we will learn more about these later. And our final syllable is clo. Let's try doing another line. This line is from Catullus III. Here, as in the end of the last line we did, there is a double consonant, so we'll split between them. Our first syllable will be pas. Now, we would like our next syllable to be se, but R and M do not go well together to make one sound. So we'll split between them. Ser. And we have the same situation with R and T. We can't have two, so we'll split between them. So right away, our first three syllables have had consonant clusters. SS, RM, and now RT. Now let's consider the word mortuus. When we pronounce it, there are three syllables, mortuus. So clearly the U's are not working together to make one sound, so we should split between them. Now our next syllable is U. Let's look at this consonant cluster. We have three consonants in a row, S, T, and M, so we're going to have to split it somewhere. And we should keep the consonants together that go best together. So obviously S and T exist more together than T and M, so we should split it here. So we will have cest, and then the word me, I is two syllables, split here. A and E work together to make one sound. On the other hand, in pu-li, that's three syllables, the U and the E are each their own syllable, so we should split them. Now we have a double consonant, and now the line has been split. We've seen so far a lot of consonant groups that do not go well together, which make consonant clusters. However, not every double consonant will make a cluster. Consider the last word of this line from Catullus 3. The first syllable is obviously we. The next one is new. Because S and T work well together, they're not going to make a kind of sound that we can't pronounce in Latin or English. So sti is going to be its own syllable and is absolutely fine and does not make a cluster. Another thing you need to be aware of is the initial I. As you know, I is a vowel, and we should treat it as such for the most part. Let's split up this line from Catullus 1. Our first syllable is doc, because C and T don't work together. And we would think that the next two would be t and then C. But think of the word Jupiter. Obviously, in English, we would start that with a J, which is a consonant. In Latin, when you have a word that starts with an I and then a vowel, like Jupiter or his sister/wife, this eventually will evolve linguistically to become the J. But even before it does, it's really considered a consonant. So when you see this I plus vowel, it really is the J. So we will have to split this consonant cluster here, tis, and then yup. This is not to say that if a word starts with I and then a consonant, it would be a J, just when it starts with I and then a vowel. Another thing you need to be aware of is elision. Elision is a very important part of Latin meter. Be aware that when we speak about elision, the spaces between words in the line will matter. Scenario 1. A word ends in a vowel and the next word begins with a vowel, as in this example. Pumice ends in an E and expolitum starts with an E. Scenario 2. A word ends in a vowel and then an M, and the next word begins with a vowel, as in this line from Catullus 1. Cum ends in U-M, and then ausas begins with A, although really A-U because they make the sound together. These two scenarios will have elision. Here's what happens. The second vowel, the one starting the second word, will eat the first vowel. So the E in expolitum will eat the E in pumice and instead make one sound, E. Pu-mi-kex. That first E is now gone. We actually do this in English naturally. When we end a word with a vowel and start the next word, we slur them, but this is more formal in Latin poetry. The same thing happens in the second scenario. The au of ausis eats the um of cum. M is a very soft consonant and will get eaten by the vowel sound. So now instead of tum, cum, au, we have tum, cow. When you're scanning the meter in your notebook, you should just cross the um out. Elision only goes one direction, from right to left, so always the second sound will eat the first sound. Let's try one more example of separating out syllables. Here's another example from Catullus 1. Just to start, we have an example of an initial I becoming a J. Yam is not E-am, it's really jam. So that's one syllable together. M and T can't go together, so we have to split between them. The same happens with M and C. The next syllable is tum. And then as we discussed, the AU will eat the UM. Again, you should cross this off in your scanning, but I'll just delete it. Cow. Su. Se. Su. New. And then as I said before, this I in Italorum is obviously not a J. It's still an I, so we should treat it as a vowel. Ta. Lo. Room.